Station.
No, I think I just summarized my points that I'm not completely opposed to it, but just under what standards of logic, you should arrive at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I kind of believe like better to have and not need than to need and not have. I think that's the right approach or whatever. But yeah, like you said, you shouldn't be able to just go like, oh, I'm just gonna go run around and have an abortion. Next day, go to the club, get pregnant again, and have another one next week. Type of
Yeah,
shit.
because on some level there should be a consequence for your bad choices, right?
Yeah, it's just I guess what people kind of would say is like, when does it become a consequence of not only the mom but the kid too?
Yeah, you're gonna
Correct, correct.
eventually becomes accepted, and you're gonna have a stamp card where every 10th one is free or some shit like that.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
Starbucks or some
it's
shit.
it's not
Yeah.
anyone's job to protect you from bad decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
I mean, it is a privilege at this point in time to have this scenario of abortion, which I feel like people don't get. I mean, I don't know how long abortion has been around for, but I can't imagine it's been that long where it's been like always, or not always, most of the time successful,
yeah, where it's
I
and
mean,
safe.
I mean,
yeah, it's safe to do.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know when, man? It's one of the most
What?
iconic cases, 1973,
Oh
Roe v.
shit!
Wade.
Fuck Roe v. Wade. Yeah, okay. Fucking A Fico.
Yeah,
Bring me back to UHS. All right, all right.
right.
In
It
the
was
70s.
Texas law prohibited abortions except in the case of saving the woman's life.
Well, have there been like black market abortions before that, or like
Sure, sure. It's
case?
just your basis before was safe, and accessible.
Oh, safe. Okay, yeah, 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 okay.
And you can't
Sorry.
really be. Why would doctors be working in the black market? You know,
Extra
it doesn't.
money.
Yes,
Suppose
doctors.
so. But I would argue that they're not in the privilege of their multi-million-dollar hospital with
Yeah,
state-of-the-art equipment, so it's not really as safe.
yeah, yeah.
And I would
Uh,
argue that society, birth rate wise, can you really say that society was awful and repressed before Roe v. Wade?
No, yeah, I wouldn't know. I
well,
wasn't.
I
So I
this
wouldn't
is a
think so.
baby boomer generation.
Sure, sure. We're just talking about in cases of female privilege and female rights.
Oh, well, yeah, no, it wasn't. It just started,
Mm.
right? It's 1965. John Lyndon B. Johnson. That whole thing.
Sure, sure, and it is a very tough area. Obviously, I don't think there really is
It,
a clear answer that will satisfy both sides. But I do think that the current direction, or at least the current rationale, is very flawed. And if we want to have abortions as a society, we need to at least please be intellectually honest about the merits and demerits of certain positions.
Yeah,
yes, but then that with that, I agree with that. But I think that that's just gonna slope into, well, you just agreed that you're killing a life. Boom, that side wins, and then it's gonna be completely anti-abortion.
Sure, sure, but I just told you right now that the same side that is supposedly anti-abortion also is pro capital punishment, right?
Oh, are
So,
they? I didn't know that.
yeah,
well, I mean, it's very liberal to not want capital punishment.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It is, and so for me, I said, fine. If someone's a disgusting human being who's a molester of children, please do actually kill him.
Holy shit! That's the case though. It's people that believe abortion should happen are anti-capital punishment,
or
and then
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's like backwards.
what? Wait, what?
Yeah, from
Yeah, I
both
didn't know that.
sides.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh,
that's why I was telling you. You get to
Yeah,
these weird standards of biological things with life.
Oh, I
where
thought you okay. I thought you were referencing that just for the sake of life, not for the sake of their point of view. My fault.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, they're
oh no
straight
no
up
that I'm saying like
backwards.
there's a
What?
there's a level of hypocrisy, right?
Yeah. Now that I'm seeing that, yeah, there is a level of hypocrisy. Okay. But why though? So okay, wait. Do you guys know why that's the case?
Why they're
Why? What is
hypocrites?
the case?
Yeah. Why is it backwards? Like, well, what is their judgment? What is their reasoning
Well, I
behind
think
that?
that they have this it's the you remember AP Psych,
Cognitive. I love
cognitive
that word.
dissonance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cognitive.
they have
Yeah.
the cognitive dissonance because you can have both ideas simultaneously,
But you'll rationalize
but you'll
whichever one
rationalize it differently,
favors.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, the
But what's so they're saying he's a bad person.
their rationale for killing, the modern liberal, modern left, will say that what is inside of you is not a person or a life, or even if it is, it doesn't matter. It's the mother's choice. Therefore, end the life and the human.
Oh yeah, that
However,
is
at the
really
same time,
fucked.
they simultaneously hold the opinion that the state does not get to decide who to kill and who not to, because everyone has a right to life, or etc. Right?
Jeez.
And so you're
Okay.
just like, okay, how can you have that while also be pro
Yeah.
abortion,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know that was the case at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That
figured it was. I figured it was like straight up, just like,
that's
oh,
why to me my position is at least very very rational in that. Yep, some people are disgusting people who deserve to be killed. Yep, sometimes the mother will not be able to have the child, so therefore she should have the right to end the life inside of her, right? It may be harsh, sure, but I don't see how it's much harsher than killing, someone else who's fully formed, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So at least for that one, you might not like my position, but I at least think that my rationale and logic is very
you're. Yeah, it's
concrete,
very
right?
reasoned.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like, oh yep, you can't kill this person inside of me, or I should be able to kill this person inside of me, but please don't pursue capital punishment.
Yeah, that shit's mind fucking me, right? I didn't realize that was.
Oh yeah,
I don't like that at all. The backwards judgment. I'm like, what?
It happens a lot, believe it or not. It's crazy.
Jesus Christ! I didn't know that one. When you brought that up, I thought it was you were just referencing like the idea of life, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, you're offering to kill this horrible person who's committed so many crimes, killing people, etc. And then you believe in abortion. I thought those things like lined up.
nope.
I didn't realize that it was like.
That it's fucked.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the case, but yeah, cognitive dissonance is a fucking
So yeah, for
great
sure.
thing.
It happens a lot. Even with like I'm gonna say like the whole PC thing. They consider themselves like liberal, whatnot. In
Oh yeah, but they're regressing the whole freedom of speech thing at the
exactly
same
because
time.
that's not a no, that wouldn't be a thing. That's
There's a meme where I don't think like, I referenced the meme, so please take this completely seriously as Bible. But there's a meme where there's a woman that she has a like, Hillary Clinton 2016 shirt on herself. So she obviously is very modern liberal, not classical liberal. And she's talking to a man, and the man says, I believe in suppressing women, hating gays, and I think killing gays as well. And she says, wow, oh my God, you're such a troglodyte. What are you, a Republican? And he says, no, I'm actually a Muslim. And she says, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
like, wow.
Right. And so it's not, please don't take it as Bible. Like, just,
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just
No,
a
yeah, but
comical
that's pretty
point.
much yeah. I understand.
But, like, please, you're saying be accepting of more people. However, do not be accepting of others, right? Like, of other things.
As long as you're not a
I don't,
minority, right?
yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
my favorite author, probably after Milton Friedman, is William F. Buckley Jr. And he has a really good quote where it's liberals claim to want to give a hearing to other views, but then they are shocked and offended to discover that there are indeed other views, right? And so it's like you need to be more inclusive and more tolerant,
Yeah,
right?
you're being a racist, and they're like limiting their own fucking.
Or
Yeah.
they're saying like, "Oh, you as a white man can't talk about how this person, grew up because you haven't experienced that." Well, I'm very glad that we're going by your standards because now that you're grandmother has been diagnosed with cancer, of course, the only person who is going to be able to treat her is a doctor who has had cancer himself. Going by those same
The same
Yeah, the
amazing
logic.
same
Yeah.
reason. Yeah. I think one thing it's a good nice segue here. I was like thinking about this throughout the week. It's like now that I've done like deliveries and stuff and kind of dealt with like that whole customer side, it feels like people nowadays give like the expectations like for if I'm gonna do an analogy, it's like you know how people have expectations of like fast food restaurants or high class restaurants. It's like they have these, and then if it goes poorly, they want to complain and get free shit,
Oh yeah.
right? It feels like that's what the case is like today. They're just like coming up with these sort of expectations or rationale for like why. Oh, this didn't go well. This encounter we just had. You're a fucking asshole. You're sexist. You're this. You're this. You owe me something for this shitty encounter you've just had because we have different views. Just like for the food industry, like oh my customer my customer service was shit. My waiter was rude. I am entitled to free food, or you need to make it up to me. That kind of thing. But now with like the whole feminist thing, there's no monetary thing involved. You're not paying for a service of being in relationships with people. Some people are just shitty. Some people are actually racist. But if you're gonna categorize it like you need this encounter to happen the way you want it to happen, it's kind of fucked. Yeah.
Exactly. They can't like. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That was a long tangent. But basically, it was like, to sum it up, it's basically like they expect things to happen exactly the way they want to happen to the point where they're changing other people. They're trying to change other people's viewpoints,
Oh.
which is, yeah.
Yeah, and they're trying to
It's
force
like,
their. There's no way. You can't force anyone to find. You have to make them realize that they were wrong, not force it that they were wrong. That's where they're
yeah,
kind
it's
of
almost
screwing up. Yeah, it's.
like it's I've seen like several different it's like somebody talking to like these radical feminists is like talking to somebody that believes the earth is flat. You just see like these similar cases where like facts and like rationale just go out the window by somebody saying nope, that's not true, nope, this is it, nope, no, no. And there's nothing behind it at that point. It's like talking to a child.
Yep, you can't do anything about that, and it's
Yeah.
it's crazy because they don't even believe. Like you said, that it's not linear. It's not. It's not consistent. I guess their logic.
Yeah, it falters at points.
Yeah, even that. Like they contradict themselves all the time. Like the whole uh big government versus little government type of thing changes a lot. Because typically it's a little strange that conservative people or Republican usually want, like a small government involved in less things like in school or healthcare system. Pretty much the government should just be for like the military and like roads. Really. Uh,
Yeah.
and but that's kind of like a liberal thing, if you think about it, because it's less freedom, less government regulations. It's free, less restrictions. The
Yeah, but
same.
it seems like liberals want, or not liberal, like radical liberals want this safety net for them to protect themselves.
Yeah, and they want more government involvement and stuff. So the liberal in itself is being conservative, I guess you can say, by saying that they want regulations on businesses and stuff like that. It's not being a liberal. That's just being, um, I guess I wouldn't say conservative, but more controlling. Suppose.
authoritative, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, versus
Yeah.
like.
I really do think that in future podcasts we should discuss terms better because the term liberal
Yeah.
today means something very different than what it used to mean, right? The founding fathers were liberals. At the
Yeah, at
time,
that time that was that
at the
time that
time
was
they would
very
have
liberal ideas,
at the
yeah.
time they would have been labeled liberals. You know, how many years later? Now they're labeled racists and conservatives, right?
They're behind.
And so you're just like, okay,
They have very
the
progressive
terms
ideas.
the terms have not changed. However, people have mischaracterized the terms and are misapplying the terms completely, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
Oh, yeah,
it's a
for
different
sure.
meta game.
yeah, yeah, I really do think that we should hash out and iron out like some terms where we shouldn't use liberal in the modern sense, right? We should use liberal in the classical sense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Classical
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
liberalism.
What is it with you trying to tell me how I?
I mean, I said I think we should, and you don't
I
have
know.
to.
I'm just fucking around. But yeah, back then the founding fathers would be labeled as progressive with their ideals and the
Yeah,
way they wanted to
progressive
handle.
liberals.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Today, you say that you really love Benjamin Franklin. I say that I really love, you know, Jefferson, racist conservative. Okay, I didn't know that the goalposts had not only changed, but that the goalposts had physically moved up and completely switched themselves to opposite sides of the field.
Seriously, that's what literally happened.
The one thing that I know I'm backtracking a little bit though, it's like is like what would you guys do? Would do the can I say the modern feminists and transgenders
Third wave feminists.
third wave feminists and current transgenders do they should they get along? I feel like they should. That the ideals contradict each other.
Well, I
Third
don't
wave
even know what
feminists,
they believe
and what
in,
was
to
the
be
last one?
honest.
Sorry.
Transgenders
Yeah, I don't think they should. I I think it's an unholy alliance. Yeah.
yeah, but they're trying to. It seems like they're merging, but it doesn't make sense.
They both have the goal in that they wish to get rid of the modern X, and they're united in the fact that they both want to destroy the current, foundations of whatever. However, their endpoint and their rationale are so different. It's just, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's very flawed reasoning, to be honest. And, it really does show here right now, where, they're using each other as friends right now, but, let's say the enemy falls, they'll fight with each other now. They'll turn on each other.
I think they fucked up personally. I think they shouldn't have put like the blame on the whole like inequality and stuff like that. Men, because that is basically what created the whole contradiction that like it's a man that is a woman now. So like that is that the issue? I can't remember. I feel like
The contradiction.
yeah, isn't it that the whole reason?
Oh, the contradiction that I found was that women are saying men and women are basically the same shit. They're like equal, right? They have no differences. They should be treated entirely equal, and that's basically it, right?
Yeah,
And the one argument that most third wave feminists seem to have is when you label them as women, and then that women category becomes inferior, or the men category becomes inferior. We're just all the same. We're all people. That's what they're gonna say. But then the contradiction for transgenders is that it's a man in a woman's body, or it's a woman in a man's body. That's there's a split there.
I
but-
thought we were the same.
Exactly. So like their ideals are contradicting, but they're trying to merge in an alliance here. That's where I find it kind of that's the contradiction essentially. They're saying they're a man born in a woman's body, so now there's a distinction.
Now we can suddenly tell what's a man's body. Well, please do tell
Enlighten me.
what's
Yeah.
a man's body. Ah, you mean broader shoulders, taller in height, more muscle mass on average, higher physical capacities than females.
On
But
average.
yeah, but exactly the same.
Yeah, but we're all the same. And then but then we have transgenders that are saying, "Oh, I'm not a woman. I am definitely a man." They're distincting it, but they've got third wave feminists contradicting them, saying there is no distinction. It doesn't matter.
they're all the same.
So yeah, we're all the same. We should get
We're all
paid.
the same, but we're all different, and we're all the same in that we're different. It really doesn't make sense.
They should have just kept it. Like they should have just been like, yeah, we're women and we're fighting for rights. I'm more than certain. Almost everyone will have their back on that if it were to be true. And
I feel like we've hit that point, though. I think now they're just trying to scratch. They're cherry picking at this point. They want higher wages for nothing. They want they're trying to force women into careers that they don't even want to choose, which nobody really wants to choose either. I mean, like there are, like engineers. Like there's a few engineers that really want to do it, but the main incentive for being an engineer is just that you were good at the skill and you wanted money.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not even you were good at the skill. How about you just busted your butt off to become, somewhat competent at the skill?
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
ask the majority of men, would you rather go, to university and study for 4 years to become a chemical engineer, or would you rather sit at home in your chair watching porn and playing video games? Please, please, tell me the names of the 10 men who would rather go to university, because everyone else would rather choose the easier choice, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
However, the incentive to sit at home and to just do nothing is obviously not as great
nothing.
as the incentive to go to university and study, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
obviously, there's an incentive, right? Just like there's an incentive to become a doctor. However, the standards for becoming a doctor are very high. A lot of people apply to become a doctor, but not everyone gets in.
yeah,
A lot of people try to study engineering, but not everyone gets in,
yeah.
right? So, what happens if a lot of women, for example, for whatever reason, cannot have the capacities to be engineers? Do you say that, well, we still need gender parity in this field, so we're going
No,
to let in people who are not capable or not fit for this position?
just to have gender equality.
Correct,
Like it's
correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I
No.
feel like people mistake a lack of like it was like what we brought up last time.
The
You
lack of
don't see
gender equality is somehow taken as evidence for overt discrimination.
exactly. Yeah, like we said last time, you don't see men complaining about having lack of men in teaching, kindergarten or social workers like that are female dominated. Like, oh, well, that's sexist over there. We don't. Nobody says that. It's all about the money. They just
Oh
want
yeah.
more money. They want more money. They want lower standard. Like, what is it? The military? I don't know what it is, but I know there's a difference in standards for military between genders, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Is it drastic or
Oh, it's severely drastic.
I
They've
don't
ta
even know
you know
what it
they've
is.
done ones where they like take like the top end of female recruits, and
This,
they put them through the course of average male recruits. So let's
yeah.
say let's
um,
say you take female top 5% and you put them for what 80% of all males can do. 2% of the 5% can do it. And then you say, okay, let's look at now what the top 30% bracket of men can do. And you take the top 30% of women and you compare them and you say, oh, interesting. They can't do anything of what the top 30% men can do. Like the physical qualifications are so different that the male has a 180-pound knapsack, right? And he has to fucking go on a hike with it and swim with it. The female goes on the hike and she's done. She can't even do the swim, right? And that's without going through the obstacle course. You're not sleeping on some of these hikes,
yeah.
but the men and women are exactly the same. But that's also a man's body.
I like this one. I typed in military standards by gender, but the first article that came up says, new concerns that lower fitness standards feel disrespect for women. Which is,
I mean,
it's,
it's only disrespectful if you think that they're exactly the same. If they're exactly the same, then please let's put both men and women together in the same, triad units, and let's see. We have 500 people. We will take the top 200 of the people who complete the course. It'll be very interesting to see how suddenly you will have the majority of that troop be men in the top 200.
Yeah, they shouldn't lower the bar. That's for sure. I think. I think
yeah,
they
and
should
then
just
this,
keep the bar, and then women that make it, make it. Because I mean,
Oh yeah, those women who make it too, they should be respected.
oh yeah,
They're
those are the
amazing.
ones that are gonna fuck some shit up. That's for sure.
see, then that's where people are gonna start fucking overjudging and being like, well, what you're saying women can't do this, and then it's like, yeah, that is the case. Women, most women, or not mo, I'm not gonna say, there's more men can complete it and less women can, right? That's just the case.
And
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
even see
physical capability.
and I don't even see the problem with that because let's do this. How many men can have a child come out of their vagina.
Oh, and
Uh,
are you gonna try to say like that's how they rationalize it? Look how strong we are. Is that what you're gonna say?
I'm just
Like how
saying
it's biological.
they do
oh, it's
different role.
biological?
They do
Oh
different
yeah,
roles.
yeah. We're
How
different. We're
how
different people.
how many men can breastfeed a child? Please
I can't.
tell me.
I'm just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Is that surgically possible at this
I
point?
think you can take hormones. I think if you take hormones, you're able to. You don't produce that hormone.
I don't even know if that's possible in that day and age.
And when they lactate, right?
You males can lactate, but I'm fairly certain that you don't have the hormone prolactin like
Yeah, you would have
in
to get it like
excess.
injected or something
Yeah,
like that.
you need to have it injected. In that case, it really isn't it it really isn't men can breastfeed. It's just the chemical creates breastfeeding, right? But
Yeah,
men by themselves
exactly.
can't breastfeed. So therefore,
Yeah.
you still win the argument, right? Let's just be somewhat frank and say, sure, they are different physically, and that's fine. If there are some cases where they are being discriminated against in either case purely based off of gender and nothing else, then sure, please have a witch hunt. I'll help you sharpen the pitchforks. I'll be there. But please, don't just say, because she's a woman, XYZ. And then when I do my research, I say, oh, well, you kind of forgot to tell me the fact that men need to do a mile in under 4 minutes, and women get 12 minutes to do the same mile. And men need to do, 80 pull ups, where women only need to do 5 pull ups, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They for
It's
sure shouldn't be.
obviously they're not being discriminated against just because of their gender, right? If we go by the same standards, interesting. The woman can only do 70 pull ups, not the 80 needed. Therefore, please try another profession. Please go into something else, right?
Yeah, it's like this.
It's
You can. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Now you're applying. Like, if you don't know or you don't get the skills to become an engineer, then try a different avenue.
sure. It's like saying, yeah, I really want to be what is it? I think it's a host mother where you carry the child of another couple for the
Oh, for
woman.
somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's say you apply for that, and you're a man. Are you gonna get accepted into that program?
probably not.
No. And then
Is is that is that discriminatory?
you would say, well, it's just because I'm a fucking man. And they'd say, well, no, we don't care about your gender. However,
Can you host a child?
the vast majority of quote men cannot host a child. So you have been rejected for that reason.
Yeah, it's based on whether you can complete the task or not. But people will translate that the smaller things into discrimination when really it's just not being able to fulfill capabilities of the job. That's why, and it's not saying that women can't be engineers; they just choose not to.
Oh yeah.
That's why it's such a fucking male-dominated profession. Same thing with the other way, the fucking social workers and kindergarten teachers. I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
They're so dominated by women for whatever reason of interest and probably money as well. Women are probably more inclined to be
Yeah.
with children while males try to make more money and fucking
Sure. And so if you can give me some good examples, like I remember reading a story that my friend showed me. It was in South Korea. These female, I think it was just interns, no, post grads that they're doing their residency at the hospitals, right? They said that
yeah.
they were being harassed by the male doctors, and here they came forward with documented proof, right, where the doctors were sending them texts of pictures of their genitalia and saying like, "Oh, let's have sex here, 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 blah blah. If you don't, I'm going to say that you did a bad job on this medical write-up you had to do." Sure, there I am. I'll sharpen the pitchforks, but here we have some proof. Okay, so you say, okay, now I see why there at least aren't as many female doctors in this case, right? There's some hazing going on. However, if we imagine that was for South Korea, South Korea is very different than the United States, obviously. If you say for the U.S., why aren't there as many female doctors? and you can't give me some proof like this one for that, the certain Korean hospital. Well, you can't take no proof as proof, right?
Hmm.
You can't say, oh, I know that there's no overt proof that this guy is, sexually harassing and hazing his juniors, but you'll just have to take my word for it that because he's a man, he's going to be a complete asshole towards women. And he's going to haze her and make it so, her life is a miserable living hell. And so we need more equality in that case. I don't think that there's any kind of that respect, especially in the United States, right? Literally in the United States, people have no qualms about leaking information and posting their personal drama anywhere. You see it right now on universities. Some females will accuse men of raping them. The woman says, oh, Bob raped me. Bob did not rape her. However, Bob's life is completely fucking ruined. His
Yeah.
scholarships are dropped. The school fucking bans him. All of this goes on, by the way, without the police report and police investigation having been concluded. However, his life is completely ruined. In the United States, we have the complete opposite issue of what they have in Korea. In Korea, I would argue that they probably do suppress women in a lot of ways. I don't think that that's the case for the United States in any way, right?
Hmm.
Where you're saying that the male faculty and male who are positions of power, males who are in positions of power, they're overreacting, right?
Hmm.
They're not being given the proof. They're just shown an emotional woman who says so and so raped me. It may or not be true, but please wait and find out. However, they don't wait and they find out, and so they just ruin this guy's life. You're
Yeah.
going to ruin a lot of professions and careers if you do the exact same thing, where you go by these emotional standards of, oh, well, I wanted to be in an engineer, but, I was like harassed, or I wasn't felt, I wasn't welcomed, I didn't have the fucking red carpet rolled out for me.
Oh God, I hate that argument
I
too, where
actually
people
heard
are
that.
just like, I. Oh wait, go
Like,
ahead. Wait.
please, some struggle is fine, right? I didn't have the red carpet rolled out for me, so, XYZ.
Yeah, I mean, I
We're not
feel
gonna
like
fucking accommodate you if you couldn't hang with the rest of the crowd in the engineering department.
yeah, there's a difference between sabotaging someone's profession versus just not being welcoming. If you can't handle competition, that's a completely separate issue.
Yeah.
We're not gonna give you a ladder so you can dunk the ball in the NBA. You got to be able to fucking reach the rim.
Oh yeah, the enemy's not gonna say, "Please step on my back to get the rim." Please step
Yeah,
on my back and I'll boost you so you can dunk on me.
Yeah.
yeah. Especially in like those high-end workplaces, it's fucking competition. You got people doing tough tasks daily basis, and you either get the job done or you don't, and you fucking get fired or you get replaced by someone that can handle it.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think they know that. It's like
Well, I feel like they're trying to piggyback off of like reparations, like as though they, how people always ask for reparations about being slaves back then or whatever. It's like we can't just like launch you and give you fucking SpaceX from Elon Musk because you're black or whatever. You gotta do what everybody else does. Now you have equal rights, and now everybody's got to do their work to get where they are.
Oh yeah.
but what
Yeah,
about the
but now,
person that says like, uh, oh well, in this situation, as fucked over my great grandfather or some shit like that,
Well, then you point them out to the great situation of the Chinese in Southeast Asia, where they go to the islands like the Philippines and other such South Asian locations, and that they literally have laws that discriminate against Chinese. There are no fucking laws in the United States that say blacks cannot go to universities or that only a certain number of blacks can enter universities in certain fields.
yeah,
Many,
it's
many, many, many South Asian countries literally have laws on the books that say if you are of fucking Chinese heritage or descent, we can only take in a certain number of you in so and so fields because you are dominating these fields. You know what happens, anyways? The Chinese rule these countries. They're 10% of the population, and yet they control like 70% of the wealth. They literally have laws made against them succeeding, and yet they're succeeding in the first place.
you're saying it's not because of what you
it's not
history
it's
of getting fucked
it's not
over.
a
It's
it's
because
not
of
a
just
suppression. It's a cultural
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
It's a cultural thing. You think that the Chinese go there and just say, can we please have some help?
We're like, oh,
The
you guys are
Chinese
being
are the
unfair.
Chinese are saying, well, shit, we'll help ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're probably like,
yeah. I
fuck
mean,
you, we're gonna fucking do better than you and still have disadvantage to it.
yeah, and I mean, like, it's a joke today, but like how Jewish people are so wealthy and successful here, they were fucking suppressed for much longer, right?
Oh yeah,
Pretty much all of
The
written
history,
history.
and
most
you
of
don't hear
European
them
history.
complaining. Most of European history, exactly, and yet they found a venue and they fucking took advantage of it. And I love the comedians. I notice a lot of comedians nowadays make the joke about like how people are just so brittle nowadays and have no backbone with whatever they're doing. They run into one obstacle and that's it. They're done. They want somebody to push them over that obstacle in a fucking wheelchair. It's like,
Like,
yeah,
help
it's
me.
it's just yeah, help you. Like what was it? Dave Chappelle. I love that fucking new stand up he did. It's not new anymore, but it's like a month old. He's talking about like that girl that talked about how Louis C.K. basically ruined her comedy career because he did that whole like jacking off to girls thing right in their face or whatever the fuck he
Oh
did.
shit.
Did you hear about that story?
No.
No. Okay, so like basically there's a bunch. Not a bunch. I'd probably say like I don't know, like five females that came out and said, "Oh, Louis C.K. would bring them back to his home or hotel or whatever, and then asked to jerk off to them. They're not even. He's not having sex with them. You just jerk off to them.
The hell? That's a weird
And like,
guy.
well, if it kind of matches up to what he said before, but anyway, like he
Yeah.
was basically saying, he was basically Dave Chappelle was basically saying like, if you wanted to be a comedian and that happened to you, and you gave out on that, you weren't going to be that much of a comedian in the first
Oh, 'cause
place.
you can use that shit as material.
You can use that shit as a joke. He used that shit as a material in his stand up. He's like, if fucking he was talking about Harvey Weinstein. He was like, oh, well, I mean, if Harvey Weinstein was coming up to me, he's like, I'll put you in all three of Lord of the Rings, Dave Chappelle, if you jerk me off. And then he was like, that's gross. What the fuck? And then he'd be like, all right, but I got a meeting with a different director at 4, so let's hurry this shit up. It's like he just made it into a joke. And then he's a fucking comedian, but like other people would just give up on that and be like, look at this. I can't be successful because this guy's doing this to me. It's like,
yeah, I think they're just aiming it on.
now there are obviously rape
Oh
cases,
yeah.
though it's not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Just the mindset.
yeah, exactly. I think they kind of. He said he definitely shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's
Weird,
fucked.
and it's fucked up.
But like,
yeah,
the
you shouldn't
point
give
was
up,
that she
you know?
was,
Yeah, like,
yeah, the point he was saying though is like, I'm hearing my
you
voice in
can't
the
blame
background. It's fucking,
your career on that event.
yeah. Especially if you were trying to be a comedian, that's like something you could use. How could you not even?
It really is, Felix, kind of like the argument where, well, we need more female engineers to inspire, the current generation. Well, okay, who inspired the first male engineer? No one. He was, by definition, the first male engineer,
Yeah, it was
right?
either a need that needed to happen. He's like, I needed to make this more efficient, and then it just fucking happened.
Just you don't need to see something to know that it can happen in some cases, right? I don't
Yeah.
need to see my fucking computer screen combust to know that if I pour gasoline over it and and put a light into it to know that my screen will combust. I can figure that out by a somewhat rational train of logic.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of women out there that can be engineers. There's no discretion. Nobody's saying, "Oh yeah, women can be engineers." They just don't want to.
My,
You
my,
don't.
my favorite argument came down from this girl that was in my class in 2016, and she was telling her friends that we need a woman president so that women know that women can be president. And I said, interesting.
No,
How
no.
how can they not know that? Are there any laws that say that they can't be president? No. And then you say, interesting. The only majority in this country is women.
Hello.
The only majority in this country are women. So therefore,
Okay.
if women really, really, really private, valued just someone's sex, they could have done so a very, very long time ago, couldn't they?
Yeah.
And obviously, if that was the only case in the recent election,
They would.
then
She would
Hillary
have.
Clinton would have won, right?
Yeah.
It really is this simple. If you have only the white racist men and some, minorities men as well voting for Trump, well then okay, who cares? Every woman in the country votes against him. That's automatically 54% of the country,
Yeah.
right? So how can you beat that? Obviously, it really isn't just a sex-based issue, at least for the election, right? It came down to a lot of other issues,
Oh yeah.
but it wasn't just, oh, well, we need to see a female to be president to
Stand
know
with her.
to know that a female can be president. You know,
I'm with her.
Jesus Christ.
I know this is a trigger point for Adrian.
Like, I don't need to see Felix, my mid laner in League of Legends, go 0-10 to know that some mid laners can go 0-10.
Yeah. Oh, that's another field, right, where it's like lacking women video gaming. Like,
Oh, have you seen Twitch, man? There's plenty of girls on that shit.
oh, okay. I meant like,
Joking.
I meant like in a professional setting.
Yeah, that's
like,
for sure.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like lacking in that area, but you don't see people like, oh, we need more women in this. They just don't want to do it, or they're not capable, whatever it is.
Or even like you see a lot of Hispanics, minorities.
It's fucking Asian.
Yeah, these are Asian people.
No, you don't hear people complaining about that.
We need more.
It's because they've proved themselves to be better at the game, whatever it is. Whether it's they work harder, they have some whatever better mentoring or whatever it is, they just dominate gaming for.
Just better, yeah, exactly. Have more time or whatever. Like, yeah, their interests. It varies. You don't hear people. Oh, we need more Hispanics.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny too is that people really don't care about that kind of stuff.
They
Like,
don't.
Yeah, you don't see progressive issues in that case.
You don't see like, well, I really need to see, a half Arab, half Mexican person succeed in the LCS to know that I can succeed. I can just say, look at this Korean mid laner named Dade. Okay, he's succeeding. He's not half Arab, half Mexican like me. He's not even American. However, I know that if I get to the same objective skills and standards that he is at, I can also succeed, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you don't have to be so fucking pathetic and petty to say that, well, I need to see someone who's half Arab, half Mexican, American, who has lived in Arizona, whose first name is Adrian, whose middle name is in Arabic, to know that I can succeed. Like, okay, really, that's really fucking specific, Adrian, because therefore I'm never gonna succeed. There's no one with my fucking standards in the world.
Yeah, and another thing that's so minute, but it does make a difference, and it's something that has affected just our gameplay alone. Korea, right? What is it? South Korea has that fucking amazing internet.
All they do.
And that-
yeah.
Yeah, and like the ping difference in gaming. I know Adrian has this too because he lags sometimes. That difference between having what do they have 3 to 5 ping?
Oh yeah,
And
if you live in
fucking
Seoul-
70.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
and 7.
3 to
Yeah,
5?
the difference between 3 to 5 and then 70 to 100 here, that makes a difference in your gameplay. It changes the way you play. It changes that. What is that? That's not racial. That's just location. That's just cultural based. It's gonna change the way you play. You can't play certain characters because they require higher,
Yep.
faster input bases or whatever the case is. And in League of Legends, that makes a difference, for example.
You know what's funny too is in some ways we are literally disadvantaged because we were not disadvantaged a lot of time ago. After the Korean War, do you think that the Korean infrastructure was great? No, obviously it was garbage. And so what do? They rebuild. Just like Japan, by the way, after World War II. There's
Yeah.
a really good reason why countries who have been under desolation and destroyed, if they have a right mindset, right,
Will
culturally,
rebuild
they
much
will
stronger
rebuild
than the rest.
and they will build stronger than before. Right. Japanese internet is really great, by the way, as well. But yeah, obviously Taiwanese and Korean internet are some of the most famous. And yeah, it really does make an issue, right? But I'm not here sitting and crying about it either, saying like,
Oh yeah, I
oh,
deserve.
the only thing that's fucking holding me back is the ping. The only thing that's holding me back from being a female engineer is seeing another female engineer. It's
Or
obviously.
it's male dominated and they're giving me a hard time. I bet if they're giving women a hard time, that means they're giving each other a hard time as well.
Oh yeah.
It's not just because you're a woman. It's everybody. What was that quote that I always say? It's like the world. Think about it, people think everybody's against them, but that's never the case. They're just for themselves. Everybody is for. There's not a real reason why anybody would target another person unless you've done something shitty to that person and they want revenge.
Yeah, or they just are truly racist. that, you know.
Exactly, yeah. But that would probably come from an experience. Oh, all women are bitches because my last ex fucked me over or some shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But that's just ignorance, That's just
Ignorant.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like that. I didn't even think about that till now. But like how ping would make a difference in gameplay. That just changes the skill level and everything.
Like, oh no, it's the internet's controlled by Koreans. That's why.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure,
exactly.
but even for example, even though we are at a disadvantage, right? Even though we are, let's say, women in a male-dominated field, if we really had the skills, we would be succeeding. If I really had the skills, I would be in league. It's challenger, like for the highest division. I would be challenger despite the holdback of 70 ping, right? Maybe you can even say, you want to be challenger because everyone there always plays with under 20 ping, at least diamond 2 and above, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you were like almost there, if you were like fucking master, which
Yeah,
is right
yeah.
below challenger, and then that's what's holding you back, that would make more sense. But if you're sitting here at gold, plat, such lower divisions, and then you're just gonna put it all on this one factor, it's probably not gonna be the case.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
where most people sit as people that complain, like, oh, we should have more female engineers, but all these females are sitting at a silver bronze level of education and related in engineering because they just choose not to go down that path. Just like men don't choose to go down the path of social work.
Yeah, or like the social sciences.
Exact. Yeah, that too. Exactly.
That's true. And then women have the highest college graduation rate.
Yeah, they do much better in college than men do. Right? They have higher
Yeah.
GPAs, higher graduation rates, and yet they just decide to choose different professions that happen to pay less. Now, whose fault is that? That's nobody's fault. They just happen to
Yeah,
pay less. They're
correct.
not.
Keep going, keep going.
Oh no, yeah, you can go off of that. I thought you were
Oh
you were
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go.
If money was your really only objective standard for happiness, A, that's really fucking sad. Two, two, well, you had all the chances in the world to do so. It's not like you go to university and your first 2 years, you get indoctrinated in all the amazing technicalities of biology and chemical engineering. Your first 2 years, for the most part, are fucking awful slog and drog undergrad generic courses, aren't they?
Yeah.
Your advisor will literally tell you, to branch out and try different things.
Find out
And
what you
so,
find interesting.
yeah, to find out what you like if you're undecided or you're open to change.
And you find very few people that are really interested in the intricacies and building works of engineering or like sciences
Sure,
or
sure.
what else.
I'm just saying it's not like they started there their first year and so they were too deep. Does that make sense to get
Yeah,
out?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not like, oh well, I started down psychology because I thought it would be cool, and then after my first year I found it wasn't for me, but I was in too deep. No, because a lot of those classes that you took are literally applicable for every other fucking major, right? And it's not like you took physics 453 in your freshman year, right? And you're like, damn, that year that semester that I spent in physics 453, I can't transfer that over to my engineering or my chemical major or whatever.
yeah.
It's like, you had all the chances in the world to do X field that makes more money. You just chose not to do it, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, and then I know in at least my field, you have to take all the way up to Calc 3 and then linear algebra and differential equations.
Yeah.
Calc 2, I've come to find out, I mean, I passed, I didn't think it was too difficult, but apparently a lot of people find that difficult. And the pass rate I found out, just for that class alone, doesn't matter what teacher you take it with, the pass rate was 40%.
Damn.
And then the more you took it, the less your rate was.
The less the
Like
success rate.
the less the success rate. Thank you. Yes. And like the more you took it, like if you didn't pass it the first time, odds are you weren't gonna pass it again.
Yeah.
Now, is that gender based? No. People have a hard time fucking dealing with math.
Oh yeah, it's not like every man's good at math. Dude, I'm garbage at math. Like,
Hello? Oh, you cut out.
oh, yeah, it's not like, oh, it just happens that every man is great at math and every woman is trash at math. There are a lot of female mathematicians, and I am a perfect example of a man who is shit at math. right?
Yeah.
I took Calc 1. It was fucking awful. I would rather stab my eyes out than do it again, right? I would rather be Oedipus and blind myself with daggers than to take Calc 1 again.
Hmm.
Now, that was Calc 1. I can't imagine what it's like taking like differential equations or Calc 3 and these kinds of higher level math courses, right?
Yeah.
Now let's say I only valued money. By the way, even though I hated that fucking class, I got like a 94% in the class. I studied really hard. However, it
Exactly.
was fucking disgusting and I want to kill myself when I'm in
Yeah.
that class. But
Motivation makes a big difference, and
oh yeah,
nobody
yeah.
talks about that.
Yeah, but I still did a good job.
Oh
I
yeah,
got a
exactly. Yeah.
94%. Um, so I said, yeah, you know what? This math kind of stuff, hard math, not for me. That's perfectly fine. If it happens that the field which I choose, let's say I chose to be, a lawyer, which I'm choosing. Let's say that on the average, lawyers always make less than a mathematician. Great, cool. I'm fine with that. You know
Yeah, you're
why?
fine with that
Because
sacrifice.
I fucking love reading cases and briefs. Maybe Felix just gets disgusted when he looks at the English language for like 5 hours. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe
Oh
he gets
yeah,
disgusted like that. Just like I get disgusted when I look at Calc 1 for 2 hours.
yeah. I have a great that's a great example for me because I used to do baseball. I was pretty good at it. Did I have a shot at going pro? Eh, I'd say let's as 40% shot. Let's say right. I was pretty good at it. I could have had a chance if I kept pursuing it. Did I like it at all? Towards the end, fuck no. That shit became a job. That shit was just brutal. But obviously, anybody looking at it would have been like, "Wow, you just gave it all up for that, and just because you didn't like it, look at the money." Like, yeah,
Wow, I like X, so therefore, how can you also not like X?
exactly. Like people just apply it to themselves, and if it doesn't, they throw it at you like, "Wow, you're a fucking idiot."
Or, or,
It's
or
like,
they
no.
or they also assume that you like something that you are good at. Like just as I told you, I
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
That one always frustrates me
like
when
what I
people
got
say,
a 94 in the calc class. It was hard. It was fucking awful. I didn't
"Wow, you
like it.
did well. You should
I
do
did
it."
well.
Like,
Yeah, I should do it. No thanks. I'll kill myself instead. I'm not going to do that field, right?
yeah, that thing
Just
always.
because I'm good at calc doesn't mean that I like calc.
Yeah, that thing always pisses me off whenever I. That's why I don't bring up baseball around people. It's fucking annoying when they bring it up. Like you gave up potential millions of dollars to just play a game. It's like it's more than it's fucking it's a job at that level. People think playing sports is like the easiest thing in the world. It's not. People are throwing fucking 90 plus miles an hour. That's a skill that the average person cannot do. These things they
Not
just
just
think,
that
oh
too, but they only. That's why I know that you felt like that. I never asked you about it. I just knew that you felt like that about baseball
yeah.
because I felt the same way about obviously another sport of mine, and yeah, it really is just okay. Do you really think that you, a person who works an office job, and every Friday and Saturday you go out with your friends to play soccer? Do you think that that is comparable? That you really enjoy those fucking 2 hours you spend every
Oh
week
yeah.
playing together? Do you really think that's fucking comparable to what the full professional playing in the German Bundesliga does? He doesn't just wake up and just jack off for a lot of time, and then every
Play
day
the game.
every day he does some scrimmage with his friends. That guy's life is a fucking miserable living hell, I'm willing to say. He wakes up and he has to eat what the team cook made for him. Some garbage vegetable pasta thing that probably tastes like ass. What does he then have to do? He has to run for several miles. What does he then have to do? Drink only water. And then he has to do drills and drills upon drills and drills. Maybe then at the end he gets to scrimmage. What does he do now? You gotta go home and you got to go to the sports person at the team home, and he's going to give you a rub down. After the rub down, you need to read on the latest things, and then go to sleep.
What I feel like really frustrating is people don't look the second level in on terms of, let's say, sports, right? Shit's high paying right across the board. Why is it high paying? Why? Because this is the top tier of athletes putting in the most work. And why is it high paying? Because people want to watch that because that's not a common thing. If it was everybody could do what they could do, it shit wouldn't be high paying. You'd be paying $50 a game, whatever the fuck it is, right?
not just not can everybody do what they do? Does everybody want to do what they do? Let's say you had 100% success rate, Felix, to be the number 10 draft pick. Is that what is in baseball draft?
Yeah, there's drafts in base.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's say you were going to be the number one draft pick for, I only know like 5 teams, so I'll just say Yankees, Sox, or
Yeah.
some whatever.
Hmm.
You can choose that. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
However, what if we say, in this case, Felix doesn't want to live for 5 years under the fucking microscope of the team controlling his every action? What if
Yeah.
Felix says, yeah, sometimes I really just don't want to practice. Sometimes I just want to go home and just fap, or just go to the movies, or I just want to play games all day long.
Yeah, and you have the freedom to do that. Obviously, a lot more people want to do that. That's less paying of a job.
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. There's not, but people aspire to make millions of dollars doing nothing.
Oh yeah, that shit will never happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they feel like, oh yes, I want to do that, you know. Obviously, making millions of dollars sounds great. You can afford whatever you want, but obviously you have to get a job done. There's a job to be done for millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, I had a friend that, so I do coding sometimes, fun for the hell of it. And I had a friend that was like asking me like, oh no, we should do something, and came up with an idea. And yeah, so I kind of was giving, he has no coding experience whatsoever, so I was kind of giving a rundown of like what needs to be done. And then I asked them, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need you to like, we're gonna have to work on this 4 hours a day at least, about 5 days a week, just to get it running and to learn the stuff and to And as soon as I told him that, he was like, hell no, like he didn't want to do anything. And like it kind of just goes like he just wanted like the quick money, the quick buck. And he didn't really know how much work it takes to develop.
Yeah, they like the outcome, but they don't like the input.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because like he
Sorry,
wanted.
the
path is
output.
just-
The output.
Yeah, he
The
wanted,
path
like,
is just poor.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The path is just not motivating enough for them.
Exactly, like, or he just doesn't know how much work it takes to make something, or even like you said, all three of us have competed at a high level in video games, one another, and
Yeah.
it takes a fuckload of time. It's not something that
Whew.
I remember. I would drop like 8 hours a day or something just working on like the numbers. Like, oh, I'm gonna fix this, and I'm gonna see just to gain like a 2% like DPS increase.
Edge, yeah.
And it takes a lot of time, and that's why I think people don't really understand. They want that instant gratification. They want to hit the lotto. I think that's why it's so popular. They want to hit the lotto. Like, I got all this shit for no fucking.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I invested $100 in Bitcoin fucking 6 years ago, and bam, look at me now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking about coding too, it's funny because I remember my dad asked me, when I was a freshman in university, he asked me like, oh, why are you studying this? You like playing games a lot. Even he hates games, but he knows that I like games. So he says, why don't you do something with computers? And I told him, yeah, I'm not dumb. I've looked into that. It's not just like, oh, I get to keep playing Arena every day, for WoW, and that's my job.
Yeah.
No, I literally have to slog through garbage bullshit coding and, whatever tools and accessories and language things that you use to make games. I don't like that. I told you I'm not a very math loving person. Maybe I could do it. I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. I like the output for WoW. I really love it, right? However, I'm not dumb. I know that doing the input is AIDS, so I'll let people who want to do it do the, doing the input.
Yeah.
I'll just enjoy the output, though.
Yeah, exactly.
And my dad was like, he was so confused. He's like, oh, I really don't understand it. And I was like, oh. I asked him,
Yeah, you see that a lot, even my classes. My professors mention it all the time. They're like, okay, well, I've been noticing. They're like, oh, we see a trend where our classes are filled up more, but out of the people that are actually in class, a smaller percent, well, when it's really slow. I think it goes to like they just want to hit bucks. Coding is not like you have to at least like it, or at least find it some enjoyable in one way or another.
It's got to be an extreme. It's like you either enjoy it or you have to make money, and this is it. Because I know my father became an attorney. Why? Because he needed to make the money, and that was his motivation. Like what you were saying with Cody, you either have to like it, or it's really not, it's got to be your last option. Like this is the only
Exactly.
thing you got to learn.
You gotta like it, or you gotta love the reward, the output so much that
Yeah.
you're willing to slog through the garbage.
And people don't think about the garbage. They just think about that's like where it goes back to sports or video gaming. Like I used to play COD. I ended up winning money through tournaments. But my parents used to berate me about the hours I used to put in the game, like 12 hours a day on the weekends. It's like, well, and then my dad used to berate me about that versus baseball. He's like, well, if you just put in a quarter or half of the hours that you put into video gaming that you do into baseball, you'd be fucking even more amazing at it. And I'm just thinking, like, who the fuck puts 6 hours a day into baseball in high school?
Dude, some
Like,
people are fucking crazy.
yeah, no, but I used to do a lot already as it was. I mean, my fucking schedule in high school was get up at 6:30, 7 a.m., go to school. School's over. I go to the high school team's baseball practice from about 3 to 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then my club team had a practice around 5 or 6, so I would show up to that one late, practice there, go home. My dad would have me lift some weights for how long that took, 30 minutes to an hour. It's 9 o'clock. I got to do my homework and go to bed. That was it. I barely had time to do anything. I didn't have a social life. That's the part of sports that people fucking lack on. They think it's like, oh yeah, you're this super cool kid in high school, you're fucking throwing QB quarterback as a football player. It's like, you've got to put in so much fucking time to be that.
Yeah, for sure. Be like in the top tier, at least.
Yeah. It's cool if you want to slack off in high school and just pretend like you're good on the team, but once you pass that, you're gone. You're gonna get cut in college.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They just want the out, not the work.
Yeah.
And it goes back to like everything, even with like schools and how people think of college. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna get a degree. I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm gonna be able to get like 6 figures straight out of college. It's like that shit is not happening.
Unless you're like a chemical engineer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even the engineer, most of the engineering fields now, they don't start off at like 60, 70. You don't make 6 figures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy, and they just think that like, oh, since I got this, I deserve this job. It's like you have to compete with everyone else. Like you have the degree and be like top of your class. And on top of that, have like.
Yeah, see, that might have worked like back then when people didn't go to college and just having a trade out of high school worked. And now the people that went to college, or then when the people went to college, they were put ahead and it wasn't such a crowded industry. But now everybody's like, yes, college is the answer. So now everybody's going to college. And now that's become the flooded market. That becomes the medium, or it's becoming the medium.
Yeah, and then they also pick degrees that's not like that marketable. I guess you could say it's not as easy to find a good job. It's gonna be like a teacher. I mean, you can make good money off doing that. You're not gonna make crazy money, but make decent money. Like for instance, like psychology. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm just gonna get a bachelor's in psychology and I'm gonna make fucking good money. It's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. You need a master's at least, or PhD to make. Like what an engineer makes in the bachelor level, that's why. Like, I don't know. I think people kind of confuse like the whole
College thing.
Yeah, they want the money now, and they don't want to work, go into a harder field, or be exceptional in the that they pick.
Yeah. I know a lot of people meme about how like all these successful people drop out of college. It's just like, well, yeah, they had a fucking skill they were good at to the point where they became the best in their field.
Oh yeah.
Like what was it? Like what was it? Mark Zuckerberg, fucking whatever else, Albert Einstein. They try to make that joke, but it's like there's a reason why they dropped out. They had a skill and they applied it.
Yeah, and they're like ridiculous. Not even like like oh they were kind of good and it still happened.
Exactly.
Exceptional. I think it's crazy. Mark Zuckerberg was a psych major.
Was he?
Yeah, and then he liked to write apps and shit. not apps, I'm sorry, websites. Like for his free time, that's how he sold it and fuckload of money. But it's like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, just yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's tough.
I
People
mean,
want.
everyone wants to succeed. There's not one person who says like, "Yeah, I could make millions, doing what I like and enjoy, but I'd rather fail."
Okay, good. Thanks for pointing that out. Doing what I like and enjoy. Okay, I was gonna say that was gonna trigger me because people say that it's like you gave up potential millions of dollars just because you were didn't like it.
Everyone wants to make a lot of money in doing what they like and enjoy.
Oh yeah,
It's
why
like
wouldn't you? Right?
obviously it's like, well, are you good enough? Is the
Yeah,
market
that.
is the market even there?
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, what if I'm really good at
Okay. Then,
stuffing hot Cheetos into both of my cheeks? What if I'm the best in the world? I can put 5 Cheeto puffs in each cheek.
do people
Is
really give a fuck?
is there a market for that?
Yeah.
If so, well, please tell me. I'll try to get up to that standard of 5 Cheeto puffs in each cheek.
Yeah.
You
YouTube.
know,
There's a market for everything. In YouTube.
so yeah, I mean, it really is kind of annoying. Success is owed to everyone. Don't
Yeah,
like
and
it.
and that's why there's fields that pay more than other fields because those fields produce, let's just say, content or things that are more beneficial than others,
Hmm.
especially at the time. That's why engineering is so highly paid because that's currently the future. That's why, what is it? The other one, coding. Coding is so big right now. Apps are big. Making things easier is
Hmm.
big. Like,
If there was suddenly a virulent outbreak that somehow gave everyone, or at least, let's say 70% of the population, medical depression, guess how much money psychologists are going to be making? Guess how much money psychologists and, these pharmacy companies are going to be making? A lot. Why?
yeah.
It's in high demand.
Yep.
Right now, it happens to be that engineers are in high demand. Do you think that engineers and coders were in high demand, in fucking medieval France?
Not without the technology.
No, they didn't have technology.
Exactly.
They
That's the
they
point. Yeah.
literally bathed twice a fucking year if they were lucky. At least in England. Sorry. So obviously the times are going to change, right? Doctors were not really in high demand, to be honest, during the Black Plague. Why? One, they didn't fucking do anything about the Black Plague. They were clueless. Doctors are pretty high demand right now. Why? Doctors can do a lot about a lot of different medical things, and they're not clueless in regards to these medical things that they can do. So therefore, doctors do get paid a lot. Doctors before did not get paid a lot. Why? Their profession was a fucking meme. It was a joke. They
There
thought that
was
cutting you and bleeding you out was literally the fucking all be all to end all.
there was a lot less information being spread around, so it was more about traditional ideas than actual procedures and steps to take. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh well, you're sick. Take this. Usually works. Now it's like, oh, well, let's see what's really sick. Your lungs or whatever. Your heart is. You have high cholesterol. We need to do this. Before it was just like, I think it's this. And so,
Stop being
yeah, yeah. But yeah, overall, people want more pay for whatever they do, and
Surprise.
yeah, so I mean that is the dream, of course, but that's what it will always be.
I want to succeed at the cost of others who are succeeding. Interesting. Well, everyone everyone wants to succeed at the cost of
Yeah,
someone else, obviously.
it just seems like overall now we've got all these. There's so many people, and I feel like people try to treat everything not case by case, but generalized, and so they apply it that way, and then we have all these issues because people feel entitled when there's 330 million other people in the same country with the same rules and laws.
Hmm.
But yeah, that pretty much covers most of that one.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on again.
Of course, pleasure as always,
Always fun.
and always fun.